Wide receiver Jameson Williams has been under a lot of criticism over the past year and a half that he's been a Detroit Lion. And we were really excited about this guy when we drafted him. I know I was not as excited as most of you due to our miserable defense, but I came along and came around after watching some Jameson Williams film, watching some highlights, and seeing. I actually watched the college game that he got hurt in, and I began to get excited, but I was still in the back of my mind worried about the defense. And while we waited and waited and waited for a clearance for Jameson Williams to finally come play, that day came midway, almost a 2/3 of the season through. And while I can say it was a bit of a disappointment, only to the fact of the outcome, he had one run, one catch, and one touchdown. His catch that would have gone for a touchdown was pulled back in the Green Bay game due to a offensive holding call or something like that on the offense. But this kid can be special, and you can see the potential for this guy to be an absolute star. He can bring that college, what he did in college, to the NFL. But he's got to be on the field, and he's got to serve a 6-game suspension due to a gambling violation. Now, he claims that he didn't know that he was breaking the rules, and that's neither here or there. He owned up to it, and he's going to take his suspension and not try to appeal. And when he comes back, we're going to see what he's truly made of. But this might be the most mature thing that I think that I've heard Jameson Williams say through the media or any time like that. Now, this is coming from Pride of Detroit, and we know that the Lions had the first round of OTAs last week. The second round begins tomorrow, and then they'll be at Allen Park for 3 days. And here's what Jameson Williams had to say last week about the difference between real life and social media. Last week, Williams faced several questions about his social media conduct, but dismissed the criticism. Things I like on Instagram, Twitter. I hope those people don't lead people the wrong. I hope those don't lead people the wrong way. Williams said, it's social media. You know, people take social media like it's right there. This is real life, and that's social media. Now, that might be the absolute most mature thing that I've heard him say about being able to distinguish social media from real life. But at the same time, he has to understand that everything he does is going to be under a microscope. Every single thing. Now, obviously, he's on the younger side of the spectrum, 22, a fresh 22 years old. And when I was watching his press conference and him being asked by reporters, to me, he looked uncomfortable. He looked like, and people get offended because I call him a kid. I call him a kid because he's still young. He acts like a kid, but he's young in a kid in the sense of maturity is what I mean. And he looked like he was a little kid getting in trouble. Like he looked like asking these reporters. He wasn't defiant. He wasn't a snazzy. He wasn't smart, anything like that. He looked like he was in trouble. He looked like if anybody, when we used to get in trouble as kids and our parents knew what we did, he looked like he looked like he was in trouble. So Jameson Williams saying that he hopes what he does on social media doesn't lead people the wrong way. And to me, that tells me just how he needs to grow, right? Now, this is not a criticism on Jameson Williams. This is just me being a 43-year-old man who used to be a 22-year-old young adult. That you could see what you do, even though it is a difference between what happens on social media and what happens in real life, okay? If you get suspended for gambling and then you show up in Vegas, like that's just not a good look. You understand what I'm saying? So he's not thinking about the ramifications of the young decisions that he's making. And I think that that's going to come with growth. The same way I did stuff at 22, not thinking about the ramifications, stuff I wouldn't do at the age I am now, right? So I like that Jameson Williams said that there is a separation, shows some maturity, and that he hopes leading, and they're referring to when he liked the post about Lamar Jackson. When he, like, you can't, we live in a society where everything is being watched, every single thing. And some people could take that and make something out of it, right? So he likes Lamar Jackson. Somebody made the comment, and well, what does it mean about Jared Goff and stuff like that? He actually said when it comes to Jared Goff, because of that like when it came to the Lamar Jackson, he said, let me bring it in real quick. He said, it wasn't no shots at Jared Goff. I love Goff, Williams said. You know, we out there, we got a perfect relationship. It's just a like tweet. Nothing went down in our relationship. We still have a tight relationship. Nothing's really happened. It's social media. It is Twitter. And I like this. I like this of Jameson Williams coming out and saying something. But like I understand that that's where we live, that we live in that, where everything you do is going to be scrutinized. If you were a public figure, you would have no life, right? Everything you did would be watched. Everything you did would be under a microscope. So I'm glad that he understands what he's doing, like what it does to people. But he's also saying, you know, it's just social media. But it's not just social media, that we don't live in that world. It is much more than that. But I understand what he's saying. Don't take it the wrong way. I like certain things, and I'm going to hit the like button, right? So I get that. And again, I think this is probably the most mature thing that I've heard him say, coming out and saying this stuff. Because before, and I think that's a big part of what the issue is. The issue is, if you make a mistake, you say, I'm sorry, right? If you do something wrong, how do we know that you've learned from it? You don't do it again, right? So that's what we have yet to see. But I think this is going a long way to showing some possible growth. Now, what he needs to do now is stay the course. Stay the course. It wasn't no shot at Jared Goff. I love Goff, okay? Which I believe he does. But he needs to, when he comes back, he needs to put his head down and get to work, right? Stay out of trouble. Stay out of the news for anything but being a dog. Like, that's what being the dog that we know you can be, right? So I am excited about this. I've always been excited about this. And if we have a defense that is suitable, I mean, early 20s, low teens, or high teens, low 20s, we're going to be something to deal with. So it's a shame he's going to miss that Kansas City game. It is a true shame. And I think, you know, experience is a huge teacher. It's a big teacher. So him missing the Kansas City game is giant. That's enough to probably get him on the right path. You know what I mean? So I'm glad this. I like this. I like that he came out and said something. This is big to me, and it's showing his maturity, and I hope that continues. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Jameson Williams, these comments from Pride of Detroit, what do you think? Do you think that's showing his growth? I think we still need to see it on the field, and we'll go from there. But you guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.